So since September 11, 2001, the cleansing of Adventism has begun. The latter rain has begun to sprinkle. And there are a variety of prophetic arguments that demonstrate this. The difficulty for those here that are speaking in a situation like this, if they were asked to just address the latter rain, the difficulty is they have 5 or 6 times to speak. And if you're going to bring together prophetic arguments that the latter rain is now falling, that we're in the judgment of the living, and that it began on September 11th, 2001, and you only have 6 times to speak, you have to select 6 presentations of probably 25 presentations to prove it. It is absolutely airtight in God's Word that we're now in the judgment of the living. This particular presentation that we're dealing with here is simply another argument, but it's being derived from these chains. As we went through these links in the chains, as we went through these different histories where we see the 3-1 combination, which we are identifying as the links in these chains, we've shown that each history has a direct relation to the previous history and a direct relationship to the following history. And even though these histories change as they move through time, they're still all premised upon a 3-1 combination. And once we had that in place, what we're doing here is we're taking these 9 links that we have looked at, where the change of dispensation is illustrated, and we're looking at the number 4. The 3-1 combination, the 3 represents the 3 angels' messages that arrived in the history of the Millerites. The 4th waymark is the 4th angel's message of Revelation 18. Every time we see this 4th waymark in these histories, there's a specific story that is pointing forward to our day and age. In my last presentation, I started with the first one, the first number 4 in the chain of prophetic history that we derive from the Garden of Eden. The number 4 was the story of Cain and Abel, which was the everlasting gospel. And in Bible prophecy, there is a rule called the rule of first mention. The most important time something is, a subject is addressed, is the first time it is addressed in the Scriptures. So the fact that the first number 4 waymark in sacred history is the story of Cain and Abel is in agreement with what we're saying about the everlasting gospel, because that's what the story of Cain and Abel is about. And here at the end of the world, right now, Adventism is being tested and purified by the everlasting gospel. And the everlasting gospel is the gospel that produces 2 classes of worshipers based upon how they respond to a prophetic message. The prophetic message for Cain and Abel had to do with the directions on how to perform the worship that they were commanded to do. And Cain rejected true worship and further went so far as to murder his brother, who accepted true worship. That's the everlasting gospel that the beginning of the chain was pointing forward to in our day and age. And this particular camp meeting here this week is presenting the very message that accomplishes that separation in Adventism and produces the demonstration. And that demonstration, according to prophecy, will be accomplished at the Sunday law. It's too late at the Sunday law. We will have formed a character either for the mark of the beast or the seal of God prior to the Sunday law. The Sunday law is simply the crisis where we would demonstrate what character we have prepared in the previous hours of our probation. But the bringing to fruition of our character is accomplished by the introduction of a testing truth, which produces 2 classes of worshipers. And the one class of worshiper that's on the wrong side of the issue, what does he do? He murders his brother. And every Seventh-day Adventist should understand this, because it's in the record. It's in the record. The blood of Abel is crying up from the ground, saying this is the story of the everlasting gospel that we need to understand. But we don't. We don't understand.